Nutrition for Mom, because she is important too, okay? Like, we're in charge of feeding everyone. Who's feeding us? How do we make this more efficient?
Okay, I'm just finishing my breakfast.
I'm hungry all the time.
Are you done?
When was the last time I ate? I feel like I'm constantly grazing. Do we make different meals?
You said you were done.
Do I need to do keto? I don't know.
Oh, okay.
What gives you energy and stamina, but also tastes good? Bluebell ice cream. Don't look at me like that. All I want is bread and cheese. Meal prep. What's the difference between nutrition and diet? When are you supposed to do that? Honestly, we're lucky if we're drinking enough water. What are some of the mistakes people make when it comes to postpartum nutrition and diet?
A lot of people just assume that with breastfeeding, if they are successful with breastfeeding, that they'll just naturally lose weight no matter what they eat. And being somebody who is still breastfeeding, it definitely helps, no doubt. But I think also it's very important that a mom takes care of her own diet and eats a balanced, nutritious way, not only for the child, but also, for herself, because she needs to restore and heal, especially after giving birth. Very important to incorporate different herbs and different flavors, because the baby tastes that too. The breast milk does change over time. If they are not successful in breastfeeding, of course, they still can lose the weight. They just might need to really refine what they're eating and exercise. I'll say, as a new mom, it's very hard to find the time to work out, which is why, even putting the baby in a stroller and going for a walk is great.
So I didn't really know like the balance of food groups and like what to have ready for snacking. Could you give some advice on that?
So it's so important that not only is the calorie intake higher when you're breastfeeding, but also that we're having proteins and complex carbohydrates paired together. For example, you could do, a slice of whole wheat toast with some nut butter. If you are taking in dairy, you could do fruit and cheese, nuts and dried fruit. I always like to pair my snacks protein and carbohydrate.
I think it's easy sometimes to grab like just the carbohydrate and you just load up on carbs as if you're running a marathon and you're like still hungry. How do people decide like the amount that they need?
The guidelines say it's about 500 calories extra you're burning a day. I never like to give numbers just because I don't know much about the specific person. It's such a fine line if you are trying to lose weight and you're breastfeeding, because if you reduce calories enough, you won't make milk.
So is it possible to lose weight and be healthy and maintain the milk supply?
Yes, under the guidance of a dietitian.
So I think some people say that it's easier to lose weight when you're breastfeeding, but others might like say that they're gaining weight and then it's making it harder for them to lose weight. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I think one thing to do is to look at what you're eating. Just because I say more calories doesn't mean go eat junk, right? So we want nutritious fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts and seeds, lean protein.
What are some easy habits that people can start right away before reaching out to a dietitian?
Certainly, meal prep has been super helpful. It's actually just having food on hand. When we have nutritious foods in the home, we're more likely to either make a healthy meal or grab a nutritious snack. So having the food in place is probably one of the most important things. And I think too, with the times that a lot of people are having more food in the house anyway, which can also pose another problem, right? Because you're constantly eating because you're always around. So set meal times is very important, as well as snack times. Hydration is super important. I always like to say, put reminders on your phone of when to eat, when to drink, because that too could play a part in adequate breast milk supply.
How do you recommend meal prepping in an efficient way when you have, other things going on?
Honestly, I say whatever works for you. I would say try out different ways and see which one feels best. And it's not always going to be that way forever. Like maybe for a month, every Sunday you meal prep, and then the next month you think like, you know what, like that was a lot. Like maybe I'll do it twice a week meal prep. I also encourage families to eat similar things so you don't feel like you're, a line chef.
Exactly.
People often downplay like frozen foods. Like you can buy healthy frozen foods, always have frozen veggies and fruits on hand. We eat a lot of frozen fruit. I love it. It's actually a delicious snack after dinner, just munching on like a frozen strawberry or peaches, even on like nights that you just don't feel like cooking, but you have no meal prep, just like maybe you make a bonza macaroni and cheese and add in some frozen kale or something. And there you go. There's your meal.
What about some tips for creating lifelong success when it comes to nutrition?
Well, I think it's important to know what your goals are, whether it be, more mindful when you eat or you want overall health and wellness for longevity. I think it's taking on new goals and making sure that they don't feel restrictive and that, it's something that you could do for the rest of your life. I'm a big proponent for the 80-20 rule. Like 80% of the time I'm going to eat things that are nutritious for me, but 20% of the time I'm just going to eat. And if it doesn't serve my body well, that's okay. I'm human.
That's a great mentality because I feel like some people, when they eat something that's bad, they're like, I've just lost everything. Like it's back, I've ruined it all.
I think if we use the terminology treat ourselves rather than cheat ourselves, it feels like it's more allowed. But using foods that are unhealthy it's still okay. I think if you're eating, non-nutritious foods often, that probably wouldn't be a good idea, but everything's about balance.
Would you say that there's any foods that you should like completely avoid?
No, that's not really the type of dietitian I am.
I love that you think that.
I also noticed if you really crave something and you don't have something, you eat everything else in sight, like times 10. Whereas if you just really ate what you wanted, maybe you would have eaten less and been satisfied.
That is so true. I've probably eaten like this Boom Chicka pop bag that was like the huge size, and I probably could have had my regular size one over there.
Exactly.
Overall advice for new parents in terms of nutrition.
Well, if you just had a baby, definitely see if you can get some family involved and help cook some of your favorite recipes. What I did was I gave a list of, my favorites to my mother-in-law, and she made them and sent them over in little containers. That was very helpful in the beginning. But if you're beyond that, definitely have easy things like the Instant Pot has been very helpful for us. We can just throw together a meal in literally 10 minutes. It tastes amazing. It feels like it's been cooked for hours. And the air fryer has been very helpful. One sheet pan meals are our favorites. You just literally throw everything on a sheet pan and cook it. Get your partner involved. This shouldn't just be like a woman's role doing everything, because it's very stressful if that's the case. And what I also have found to be very, very helpful is grocery delivery. I don't think there's anything to be embarrassed about if you do online shopping. That's helped me tremendously. I am a dietitian of 15 years, and I started in clinical. I was doing oncology and surgery, maternity, and then I transitioned into bariatrics, which is for weight loss surgery. And then about 4 years ago, I started my own private practice called Melissa Rifkin Nutrition. And about 9 years ago, I started my Instagram handle. And then I also work for an app called Rise.